What's up, everybody? Want to go over the new OTA. But first, over 100 subscribers now. Super awesome. Thank you all so much for joining. Definitely going to try to do some different things, keep the channel active. So, OTA reviews, new card reviews, whatever you guys want to see, variant talk. Happy to do any of it. I love variants. I love the new cards. So, whatever you'd like, leave it down in the comments below. We'll get it going. Let's keep growing. So, let's go over this OTA. A lot of really interesting changes. I'm excited about a lot of them. One in particular that I think, even though people are talking about it, I think they're still possibly sleeping on it. So first we'll start with, in order here by cost, Sunspot. Interesting. Not a lot going on with this buff. 1 power. Sunspot used to be a 1/1 for those who remember. And at the time, it was overpowered at that cost. But now, things are a little more powerful. Definitely been some creep in that direction. So 1/1 for Sunspot, it's gonna help, but I don't think it's gonna make it top of the meta or anything. Definitely gonna be a nice little buff to high evolutionary decks. See if those get more play now, especially with some of the Afflict running around, Diamondback coming. So cool buff. I like it. I think could be very interesting. This is the exciting one to me. Adam Warlock. I used to love playing Adam Warlock in Galactus decks. And I always thought, even though it had a terrible win rate, that it was just so much fun to see if you could eke out that card draw. Because the thing about Adam Warlock is, if he draws 1 card, in some decks, that's all he needs to be a huge benefit to you. Yes, he's not adding power to the board as a 2/0. But now, with this new buff, it's almost the best of both worlds. And that's on its own, if you don't do anything to augment his power. Adam Warlock with Bast or Agent Venom, I'm getting lucky. Maybe not Agent Venom, because then you're not playing Adam on 2, but Bast. There are some decks, like the Havoc deck and, some bounce decks, low to the ground decks, that a 2/3 Adam Warlock, who is then going to either draw you a number of cards throughout the game or become like a 2/7 or become a 2/6 and draw you 2 cards, something crazy. I mean, yes, you need it on curve, but it could be really fun. What's exciting for me is my most recent deck guide, the Moonstone ongoing list. Adam Warlock, I think, is a really natural fit for that 2 slot. I had been playing Jeff there. I tried out a couple games with the new Adam Warlock in that spot, and the number of times that I just went turn 1 Howard the Duck or Spider-Ham, turn 2 Adam Warlock, and just lucked into that draw. That's all you need in a combo deck. 1 draw to get you closer to your combo for the game. So I really enjoyed playing the new Adam Warlock. I think it's a cool piece. I love the redesign. Not much of a redesign, but even that little bit of extra power. The fact that the end of the game you can have 2 card draws and then an overstated 2-drop on the board could be really cool. Excited to see where he goes. Scorpion, another buff here. 2/3, extra point of power. Scorpion's in a cool spot because Surtur decks, obviously they nerfed Surtur, which we'll get to. But Surtur decks were running rampant, so Scorpion being able to take those 10s down to 9 power, actually very impactful. Also, I think Scorpion is just underplayed in general. On its own, it's a 2/3, even if they don't play any of the cards that are afflicted by it. So that's powerful. I mean, that's a 2/4, 2/5, probably by the end of the game. Especially, like I said, with Diamondback coming out, you could see an increase in mid-range strategies of Scorpion for sure. Definitely one to watch. Surtur. I really dislike Surtur, just playing it. It's not my style of deck. I understand why people like it, and that's great, and I know it had really been overperforming, according to the blog post from Marvel Snap. So I think this is a little bit of a heavy-handed nerf, but clearly probably necessary. I do think it's one that will probably end up being reverted down the road whenever Surtur makes his way out of the meta. But for now, I like the change. It's good to shake things up when one deck is too dominant. Apparently, this Surtur deck was just running rampant throughout most levels of the game. So, love it. Doom 2099, this is actually a card that I love playing against. Even though it's been doing well in the metrics, the fact that it needed a nerf, I think, is good. It's good to redistribute the power. So Doom 2099 gets an extra point of power. The Doom bots each get a point less of power. And I don't know, I enjoy when decks like this that are very linear, one card a turn, I like knowing that they're capped at a certain amount. So I never had a problem with this deck. It's also disruptible, so don't mind the change here at all. I've always liked, maybe it's because I'm usually playing decks that output way more power at the end of the game, and Doom 2099 doesn't play a ton of disruption, but still a needed nerf, I think, for the overall community. Wiccan is a very strong card. I think way more flexible than people anticipated when Wiccan first released. I really like this card. I'm glad that it's found a home in a lot of cool decks, but I think 4/7 was always a little overstated for the effect. You're pretty much not playing Wiccan in a Wiccan deck unless you're positive that you're going to get the effect off. Whenever I would play Wiccan decks, it is very rare that I didn't have what I needed, and if I didn't have the right curve to play Wiccan for the 2 energy, I just had Anti-Venom or something else. So I don't see this making a huge impact on the overall win rate. Probably make an impact on the play rate, because people always run away from cards when they're initially nerfed. But this is exciting, that Wiccan is clearly doing well enough that it needed a little bit of a nerf, and I think it's going to land in a totally fine spot. I don't anticipate it messing up too much of Wiccan's win rate. Finally, last card is Sarah. Sarah gets a 1-point power buff up to a 5/5. I really like Sarah as a card. I think it probably is okay getting this extra point of power. It used to be this powerful. The meta right now doesn't see much Sarah at all. Used to be played in a lot of Silver Surfer decks, and then of course Sarah Control. But it'll be interesting to see if this extra point lets it be played more in different decks. I'm excited to try out some of the old Sarah Control builds that I had been playing. Might be interesting right now to see how a tech heavy Sarah deck plays. I really like tech Sarah decks. It's fun to sit back and be super reactive. I'll play Ghost usually, and turn 6 we're just going crazy, Shang-Chi, Absorbing Man, sometimes Grandmaster, just for a crazy burst. So excited to play around with some Sarah decks, and yeah, I like the overall OTA. Seems like there was a lot of neat buffs, a couple nerfs that were important for some cards like Doom 2099, Wiccan to a lesser extent, and Surtur for sure. Excited to see where the meta goes, and overall, I give it a solid grade. Maybe 8, 9 out of 10. So yeah, thanks for watching. I'm gonna cook up some new decks, and maybe you'll get another deck guide out of it. But yeah, leave a comment, let me know what you thought of the OTA overall, and we'll be back with another video soon. Later.